and gentlemen.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. So we're gonna do the Twitter killer. Right now, we're gonna get into public shaming, the Twitter killer, and death sentences. And right now, we're gonna get into the Twitter killer. He's from Japan, and Japanese court sentenced whatever his name is, one of the country's most infamous serial killers in recent years to death yesterday, known as the Twitter killer. The 30-year-old was charged with the murder of 9 people, 8 suicidal women he lured via the social media platform, and one of the victim's friends who suspected this guy for killings. Okay. Aside from the brutal nature of the killings, he dismembered the body parts, etc., etc.
That's
So
crazy.
these women
let's see.
That's wild. What are we
These
even
women
talking
outsourced.
about?
He was killed. He was killed by hanging. He was killed by hanging. So,
What's
wait, what were we gonna say, Anthony?
So these women outsourced their killing. They were suicidal, and they got some guy to do it for them. Is that what you're saying? They were all suicidal?
No, yeah. Well, he talked them into it, I guess, and they did it themselves. Yeah. But I'll have to get into more of the details of that. But the thing is that we're getting into the death penalties in our country now. And my friend sent me an email, and he said, Utah. Let's see. Utah is the only state that brought back the firing squad. Arizona and California and Missouri have the gas chambers. Delaware, New Hampshire, and Washington have hanging. And most states, 37 in all, use lethal injections, and 7 states still use electrocution. By the 20th of 21st, so then Trump, has executed most criminals. And then they had a story about somebody he just killed the other day here in America. I can't remember his name right now. I apologize. But yeah, it's crazy what's going on that we have this available in all these different states. Now, how do you guys feel about, we're going to the extremes of this, but we're not showing it on television. We're not doing any other promotion of it. It's kind of buried in the news cycle a little bit. These are valuable lessons of people that were killing, of their story, and people die. And then, what is the lesson learned about what not to do to not be put into the space of getting killed? Number one, and number two, this is quite a list of things of death penalties, and we're not on the same page in any of the states, and not all the states. And I kind of like the firing squad myself. And it's only one state. So what do you guys think about all that?
I'll take the first.
Well, if they miss you on the firing squad, do you get to go free?
If they miss, the guy missed.
They missed. You get to walk away.
What if you get that guy who catches the bull with his teeth? Okay, I'm free. Remember that guy a long time ago? You should be free for that.
The odds.
So the hot topic, is it corporal punishment? Is that are we saying death penalty or no? Or revision? What's the hot topic, Jay?
Are we for the death penalty?
Are you for the death penalty, or are you against it? Are you for retraining these people?
Right.
Are we for all the variety of different types of death penalty?
Because the gentleman that was killed the other day, I don't have his name in front of me. He was a young black man. He was in trouble at 18 years old, and then he's been in the system for a long time, and he's been very good, and he's been a very model citizen, if you will, as a criminal, people, the other people he was with were minors, so he was hanging out with the minor crowd, and yet, this kid got thrown to the wolves and stayed in the wolf den, forever, all his life, and now is dead. And I think he got the lethal injection. I can't remember, but
I'm not really. I'm not sure if I'm really necessarily for the death penalty, so to speak. I actually think sometimes that death penalty is an easy way out. Imagine being locked into a 7x12 cell, concrete cell with a little bunk, solitary confinement for the rest of your life is a lot worse, I think, than just going anyway. I think I always say, like, hey, don't. We're watching movies and TV together, and I go, don't kill the guy. Heck, let them go to jail for the rest of their life. I think that's worse torture than, solitary confinement type things. That kind of jail is worse than I think the death penalty, so to speak. I mean, how much you like that for the rest of your life?
Wow,
yeah, I think it costs us though $30,000 a year
Yeah,
to
you do.
house a prisoner. So if someone
3,000 a year.
spends 50 years in prison, that's $1.5 million we spent on them. And I don't know if I'm for or against the death penalty. It feels wrong, but if the person's never going to get out, what's the point of leaving them there?
Right.
So then it's then it's basically a budget thing.
It is. It's
Grab
I
it
know.
on.
I know what you're saying. It's costing a lot of money. You're right. It's costing a lot of money. So
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
that's how our
this
corporate
guy was
prison
doing
system
well,
has
and
been set
he
up.
was supposed to be, let go.
right. So
And they didn't let him.
stay too as well.
Trump didn't take his
Pardon.
and he's the opposite. He has tons of the people who are speaking out on his behalf. How he's helping mold the minds of young people to be good, and these types of the people that we want to, that we can see visibly that they're rehabilitated, right? And so why not give them an opportunity to move forward? Because when we all know child development and all. I mean, you got Anthony who's been in the mental development space. Young people are young. I mean, 18 is still they're still developing minds.
It's just age 25, yeah, right. So, yeah.
Right,
Well,
and so it's like
it-
give people a break at some point. But this guy didn't get a break.
You
Yeah,
can
and
take some criminals out of society and put them in jail, and once they get cleaned up and realize the errors of their way and what they did wrong, they could rehabilitate. But then you've got some that are just soulless animals and cannot be.
It's a case by
And
case.
I think it would have to be a case by case thing. And I think most of them can be rehabilitated. They just have to be, they have to have programs for that.
That costs money too. They're talking
and then
budget.
that costs money too, but at least it's something to put them back into society instead of being locked up like an animal.
Well, I'll tell you what. Go ahead, Anthony.
I probably can speak on this from both ends. Like I said, I have degrees and experience in mental health. I've also spent a year in federal prison. So I can tell you on that side, there is no rehabilitation. And I was in federal prison. There aren't any cells. I played tennis and golf and on the football team and on the softball team. There was no rehabilitation. They did a drug program for people that could get a little time off in case they had a drug-related offense. But I'm not, I was in a federal prison camp, so I'm not in there with violent people, but I'm in there with people who had drug offenses and this type of thing. And when I went in there, because I've never used a drug, I always had the attitude, if someone's an addict, let's just put them out of their misery. Let's just kill them. They're stupid. They're wasting space.
Wow.
Once I
the
left,
war on drugs, baby. The war on drugs. Kill them all.
Well, once I left after spending a year in there, and almost everyone in the federal prison was 80% black, and they were there for drug charges, completely changed my mind. These kids never had a chance in life. They've never got an education. They've never been around a role model. The things I would actually do group therapy with these guys, and it was amazing how screwed up their life had been since birth, that they had no idea. There was a guy in there that was there for selling pot, and he'd been doing this since he was 4, not selling it, for harvesting pot. And he'd been doing this for his grandfather since he was 5 years old. In Arkansas, didn't even know it was against the law. Now he's doing 7 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so I was like, we shouldn't be putting anyone in prison for drugs. We should decriminalize all drugs, because that's the vast majority of prisoners.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, drug related. Yeah, definitely.
It's like, so let's eliminate that. But if someone's been violent I give you a great example, and I hate to go on. We were having this discussion here the other day about child molestation. It's easy to be mad and say, hey, we should kill all child molesters. Everyone wants to say that. But if we kill child molesters, then we encourage them to kill their victims.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And second, which is very sad, if you were molested as a child, you're 6 times more likely to molest someone. So a lot of times a child molester is a lifetime victim of child molestation.
Yeah, it's true.
So, you know what I mean? It's horrible, because you want to be mad and just go kill them. But if you really look at their lives and you have any kind of compassion, you're like, wow, this person never had. So I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I don't know if I'm for prison. We're supposed to be a country of second chances, but we're full of shit on that. So
well, I tell you what, the criminal courts system, when you're in the criminal court, they're very polite. They explain all of the rules that are available to a criminal. You can plead guilty, you can plead no contest, you can plead not guilty, and they name everything out for you, and they really draw a wonderful, they really help you out in criminal court. On the other hand, in family law court, they don't treat you like that. They take either one of you is a really bad parent and the other one is not so bad parent, right? And so and they don't give you that help in family court either. They don't tell you, so this is the process for you all, we're going to do this, and this is the goal. We're going to try to get a parenting plan together for you. No, they're like, figure it out. You're adults. You brought a kid into the world, whatever it is, make it happen. But then you got people that don't want to make it happen. They don't want to talk. They don't want to come to the table. They don't want to come over to the table and have a discussion.
You feel better?
Hey, we're extended show, baby.
Delete all this.
I'm putting 2 minutes on the clock.
It's gonna be used against you in family court.
Now you got 2 minutes there, Jay.
You hear that, DA?
All right, I want to step
You hear
on
that,
this one
public
just a quick
defenders?
second. I personally, the approach that I have on this is we should all just be killing everyone that offends us all the time. And what this means is that if you are strong enough or have enough what they call chutzpah or moxie, then if someone offends you or your family, takes from you or molests from someone in your family, then you would just go to their house, drag them out by their hair, and beat them to fucking death. And I'll tell you right now,
this is not going to be aired, and I do not agree with any of that.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to agree to shit.
For the record.
I ain't asking you to. I'm just telling you my view. And I guarantee you, at 300 pounds and 6 foot tall, there's only a handful of people that would come to my house to offend me. And then I'm going to back that up even further. In my whole life, there's been very few people that have physically challenged me. And more to the point, very few times have I ever had to even so much as think of getting violent with another human being. And the reason
I'm headed to your house to make love to you right now.
I'll do that too, mentally, metaphorically. But the reality of it is, you have to understand. If you kill someone, then you are eligible for the death penalty. Bingo. That's pretty much it. There's not a lot of things that you can get the death penalty for, and taking a life is one of the few things. So if you did get caught up in something and it wasn't your fault, I'm sorry, you got a bad shake in this world. I've been arrested for, pulled over for a broken taillight, arrested for a DUI, and blown a 0.0 on the fucking test and still been hauled into jail. They didn't charge me with the DUI. They charged me with some off-brand penal code for having whippets in my car. And guess what? I still spent the 6 hours in the drunk tank. I still paid $500 to get my truck out of the fucking lockup. And none of that was ever considered to be of wrongdoing, even though I didn't blow because I wasn't drunk. And on top of that, I explained to the officer that I'd been up since 4:30 in the morning working. And this is 8:30 at night. And at that point, he should have taken into extra consideration and to question me about, well, it seems like you're talking a little slow. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm homeless and I'm suffering from exposure, and I've been on the street for 2 months, and I just got my first job, and I went to work from 4:30 a.m. That conversation could have come out, but no, that's not his job. He was on a DUI roundup for the city of Santa Monica, which they do every single week. This is a weekly thing, and it's part of their bullpen. They get together, and the sergeant's like, all right, this week we're going to 4th, and we're going to Pico, and we're going over, they tell you where they're going. And we're going to get 12 DUIs each. Let's go. That's how it works. So you talk about punitive damages. crossing over into corporal punishment. It doesn't. This isn't molestation. This isn't any of these things. You can only get the death penalty for taking a life or for an atrocity that led to the aggregation of people losing their lives. So that's what it's about. Eye for an eye, no. But a death for a death, yes.
And you also said it was like a budget thing. So, you know, we should make these, maybe these inmates that are on death row, so to speak, have to work in some way in these different prisons. Some have something set up to where they're making something, whatever, and actually paying this state back to pay for their keep, so to speak.
Oh, do a trade or something?
Yeah, I mean, then we get rid of the budget problem and keep them alive and get rid of the budget problem, so to speak.
Do you still make license plates?
Yeah, so the only issue with that is that those facilities are private owned, for profit, and the way that they turn a profit is by using the labor in order to use free labor. They pay the guys like $0.25 an hour, and then that money gets put on their books. So they bypass everything you're talking about, and they're actually using currently slave labor in all of California prisons to do these things. Mm-hmm. Furniture, license plates. They have several different, I guess you could say, vocations that California state is getting paid for. But here's the thing. It's all subsidized, and it's given to the private owner. So it's just a business, man. Prison's a business.
Yes.
I think in Florida, too. In Florida, they use the inmates, lower security inmates, not murderers, to do a lot of the road and bridge work. They've got kind of like chain gangs, but they've got the bright orange outfits on, and they're either picking up trash or helping the road gangs work on the roads. So they do that in Florida. They don't pay them much, but with people that have murdered, they don't do that with them. They don't let them out.
And they're the ones that should be working.
Yeah,
paying for their keep because they're in for the rest of their life.
Right, but there should be something in the prisons that I don't know how the prison system works. Gary and I watch these programs about prisons all over the world.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing to see the differences, and not only the differences the way the prisons are, but in the cultures that these people were raised in. Like you had mentioned, that some people didn't in the U.S. never knew a good life, so they resort to crime because that's the only way they know. But in some of these other countries, that's not always the case. So their rehabilitation programs are so different.
Right.
And it's a shame to see that ours are not as good as smaller countries in Europe.
Right. Here's a hilarious story. So I'm doing for one count of mail fraud because I wouldn't negotiate and plea bargain. They offered me a misdemeanor. I said no over owning these claims. So I go to federal prison. I'm paid. It's on a military base, military installation. They're paying me 17 cents an hour to do landscaping. Okay. Now which is fine. I'm surprised they're paying me at all. I'm a prisoner. I don't think they should be paying me. But here's what was funny. I got there in December. So December, January, and February, we would go out with lawnmowers and weed eaters and cut grass. Grass doesn't grow in December, January, and February. In fact, the ground is frozen. Yet we're still out there turning the lawnmower on and going up and down. We're weeding nothing. So I finally got to the bottom of this is because when that truck left the prison, which is on the military installation, they're paid $10 an hour for each prisoner by the military installation.
Oh, yeah.
So I wrote a letter to the prison board saying this was fraud because we're not actually cutting grass.
Right.
But that's how it's a business. Exactly what Jedi was saying. It's a business. They were paying us, they were getting $10 an hour per person, paying us 17 cents and sent us out to, even there were days, I was there during Hurricane Katrina. So during the hurricane, we're in the back of a truck driving around the base for 6 hours a day.
Oh my God.
They got paid as if we were doing something, but we couldn't because there was a hurricane.
Does this money go back to the prison to keep it up, or does it go to some people making profit on it and going to pockets?
People making a profit. We're doing landscaping on the military installation. So yeah, they make the money and it goes to the people that own the prison.
Oh, okay. So that's wrong. The money should go back to the institution. That's where the mistake is.
As long as we're getting into this, here you go. So this is what we're talking about. So okay, death penalty cases cost. Right? The average cost, $1.26 million.
Oh my God.
Right? And then
That's crazy.
here's the thing: the non-death penalty case costs were counted through to the end, $750,000. So let me tell you, it costs more. This is people talk about the budget issue with putting someone to death. It costs more to get someone executed in legal fees, housing, all of that stuff than you can even imagine. It's only, I think you guys are saying 37,000, but I think after transportation and health costs, it's $57,000 per unit, and that's what they call this. Private prisons call per prisoner fee. It's a unit. And so that's why you go to a parole board and they base your worth on projected on how long they could keep you in prison. And so they say, okay, if we could have kept you in prison for 15 years, but we're only going to keep you for 7, then we have to work that out some kind of way. Right? And so then that's where the privatized systems really get you. So as far as capital punishment goes, yeah, the budgetary thing, executing them does not save money. Holding them and doing all this shit and going through all the trials, and you have 7 levels of appeals, and you have 2 federal Supreme Court style appeals you can do. Once you get to the end of it, you have wasted 1,000 people's time and energy. And at 11:58, you could get a DNA sample. Governor shut it down. We're not electrocuting the inmate. And then it starts over. The guy doesn't walk and go free. If he gets a stay, it starts over. Now you're talking about the biggest cases they've ever had costing him $2-3 million, or costing you, us, me, taxpayers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not a budgetary
We want more
thing.
pardons. We want more stays of execution. We want more pardons. That's right.
Can I say one more thing on this one, just to show you the other end of this? To show you how bad life can be for some people. When I'm in prison, there were 2 twin brothers there, and they were repeat offenders. And of course, it's a drug crime. It's a camp. We don't even have a fence around the prison. That's how it's a yellow line. I do a whole joke routine about this. These 2 brothers had been to prison 3 or 4 different times. And I asked them, why did they keep repeating? And he said, well, we're from Detroit, and living here in prison is so much better than being poor in Detroit.
Wow.
And that just brought tears to my eyes.
That's sad.
That's funny.
That's a Democratic. That's a Democratic state, so I can see why.
They were buying their drugs from a Republican.
All right, Jay, what else? I think we used all our minutes up here.
What's that?
What's next? What's next?
Well, I'm about finished, but I appreciate you guys all coming in and showing up this week. Do you guys have? Give yourself a round of applause if that's what Josh is doing there. Nice work, everybody. And thanks for showing up. And do you guys have any hot topics that you want to discuss?
I
guess the last thing I mentioned today was that Cleveland Indian thing. Remember I told you about that? How they're going to change the name to Cleveland Indians. What do you think of that, Anthony?
I didn't understand why Indian was. Maybe if they changed it to Native American, I'm not sure. I can understand why some of the other ones were offensive, but actual Indian or Native, I don't know how that's offensive. I could see where some of these Redskins, I can see that's offensive.
Redskins and skin.
Yeah. But Indians, I was like, aren't we sort of honoring? Again, I'm not on that extreme end of liberal, so I sort of am a little pissed about that one. Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that upset me. With all the statues going down and they're tearing this down and changing names, and that's when I said I'm done. I'm not anybody that allows that. I am not voting for that party, and not necessarily voting for Trump in general. It was more the party views and what they believed in. But what they said with the Cleveland Indian thing was the guy. His name was Louis Francis Sockless in 1897, and he was a Native American, and they named the team Cleveland Indians after him because he's one of the first Native Americans that played baseball. And so here the team is now years later taking away that name when they just used that basically then to honor him.
Right.
And it's just the different powers that be that are doing that because they
So what's happened is a rash of lawsuits have swept through the professional sports leagues. And so why the Redskins are changing the name is because someone has said, change the name or we're suing. That's why. That's the only reason. Someone has come to the Indians and said, "We've got the class action, baby. We've got the 100,000 signatures. We're going to sue." And so that's the only reason. It's the only impetus is money. Tell you something that NBA, MLB, and NFL all have in common: more money than God. That's right. Our religions don't make as much money as football, bro. Just saying.
Yeah, but the money for them to change the names and logos and
it's out of control. But also, it's not a winning franchise, and sometimes you get a rebrand, you get a fresh stamp. I don't know.
And it does generate money because now everyone has to buy the new hats, the new jerseys.
That's right.
That's why the NFL does these alternate jerseys and alternate helmets. It generates money. So in the end, it may generate more money for Cleveland. Changing.
Yeah. I don't know all the total facts. I guess I have to be but maybe you're right.
Indian giving it another definition, another meaning, another term. Indian giving.
Jay, the last one I had was I think Republican was complaining that our first lady elect isn't a real doctor. Dr. Jill Biden isn't a real doctor. And that just, I've always said that's not a real doctor. We should only call doctors doctors. But he also introduced Dr. Gorka on his show, who isn't a real doctor. This was Tucker Carlson.
He has a PhD in education.
Yes. Right. So I thought that was one of the most sexist things.
Like, what was the?
Yeah, she has a PhD. Dr. Biden, she has in education, and he's saying that Tucker was teasing. That's not a real doctor. That's the equivalent of Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, I don't think Dr. Pepper even graduated high school, so I don't see where that's equal at all.
And that's some of the name slinging. That's
legally, when you get your PhD, legally, that doctor, that PhD at the end, the doctorate that allows you to be called a doctor, is the same thing as Esquire when you become a lawyer, or the same as junior or the third. It's a suffix that is officially attached on your record. So I'm sorry, if you got your PhD and did a doctoral thesis through an accredited school, and I don't know why I air quoted, but it has to be accredited, then you are a doctor and you deserve that title. So I don't know who.
If I went to school in college that long to get a PhD, I want the title.
Absolutely.
I don't care if I didn't deliver a baby.
He was just being an ass, it sounds like.
My old profession was always, we made fun of chiropractors who called themselves doctors. That's a joke within my profession. Right. But legally, they can call themselves a doctor, even though their school isn't nearly as long as a PhD degree. Right. So I was like, I just thought it was such a sexist shot at
that's rough,
Dr. Biden.
It's going to be like that.
It's the name calling and stuff like that, which is not necessary on both sides. It's like, why do they go there trying to, cut down the other side and that kind of a thing? It's just not, that's the problem, And if we're name slinging and throwing and doing that sort of thing, we're never going to meet in the middle, because there's so frivolous to even talk about this stuff to begin with. What does it matter? Yeah, what does it matter? So that's why we're never going to come together, because it's just,
I'll give you that. What's it matter? What a dork.
Yeah. Why do you have to make fun of someone like that? There's nothing to make.
Making fun.
Well, take it from Dr. J. This is a great show. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry, Josh. Let me cut you off there. But yeah, I appreciate.
That's okay. I got 39 on my clock. I'm gonna hold on to it.
All right. Well, listen. Is it Carmela? Is that it?
Yes.
And then Gary, Anthony, Josh. This has been a very good show.
Jay.
And we got the new technology. And we had the hot potato. We're jumping it around.
Hey, you guys.
Josh, you got something
to let you go. You guys are on here quite a bit. If you use YouTube, if you could search the Great Internet Debate Hot Topic Hot Potato on YouTube, and go ahead and subscribe and like. What you'll see from what you're seeing in the Zoom, completely different. Like it's that window. Like my window in the Zoom is our actual production window. So like this is a fresh look to the show, and I just want to thank all you guys for calling in each week, and it means a lot because I mean we've gone leaps and bounds, and we're about to go next level with this on around the first of the new year. So just thank you guys.
You're gonna be editing it and censoring it on YouTube or no?
No.
I'm teasing.
This is called the Hot Topic, Hot Potato Roundtable Discussion.
And
so it's going to get a little bit hot at times, but we want to keep it civil as much as we can. And like I said in the beginning, and keep, just got to work it out. And then if we have a hot topic or a hot debate that we can take to the next level and get into
this thing is
one
dope,
of our debate shows, let's do it. Yeah.
When we're running for office, that's what we do.
We need to do that at the very end. The last 10
that's
seconds.
what I'm going to show people when their time runs out. I'll just start doing this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so great doing this show because now I'm going to take this show and I'm going to spit it out and I'm going to download it back from Facebook and I'm going to turn it into a podcast. And so that's the other thing we're developing. YouTube, we have Facebook series on Watch, and we have a podcast on Anchor, and we're on Spotify already. So Hot Topic Hot Potatoes, it's on Spotify also. So follow there. And the next step after the holidays, we're going real light right now, but after the holidays, we're planning on having like 7, 8, 9, 10 people in each call. So it's going to get hectic, and it's going to be exciting, and we're going to have groups of rooms. It's like we can move things around on the screen. Just
bring it, magic. People.
It's like magic. So
thank you, Jedi. Thank you, Jedi, for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Jedi Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah, I'll catch you afterwards on a call.
All right.